Remember Hezbollah in Lebanon? Well, everybody thought that Hezbollah is out of the game, and Israel has already beaten them by assassinating their leadership, key players inside Lebanon. But it seems that Hezbollah is not out of the game, and they're still fighting, and they're actually striking back against Israel, and they have major successes in the Israeli land invasion. Let's see what happens. Hello everybody, my name is Stavros. I'm a professor of international relations and a democracy advocate. This is Black Flag Media. You're here with me. We're supporting peace, justice, and also democracy in its purest form. We're going to be talking more about that in later videos. So let's find out what happened actually between Hezbollah and Israel. Israel decided to invade southern Lebanon, and it seems that they were on the rise. They had the momentum of the targeted assassinations against the leadership of Hezbollah, but it seems that that didn't work out well for them. And the Hezbollah military force was waiting for them. The elite force, the Radwan special forces of Hezbollah, was there waiting for them, and they yes, it seems that the initial assault by the Israelis in the village Odaise, which is close to the border from the Khalet al-Mahafer regions and from Kfar Hila, they were trying to infiltrate this Lebanese village, Israeli troops, and then there was there were fierce confrontations between the two sides, and there was an ambush by Hezbollah. It seems that Hezbollah prevailed in this attack. Their elite unit, the Radwan unit, they engaged with Israeli commando unit, and the IDF announced that after heavy firepower, they had to flee back, they had to withdraw, and a total of 8 IDF soldiers were killed in this attack, which, you know, this is a huge number for the Israeli Defense Forces. In 2 separate locations, they lost this man from the Egoz commando unit, which is also an elite unit for the Israeli Defense Forces, and also their commanders were killed as well. Many people, dozens, were wounded by the Israeli side, and also the Hezbollah fighters were able to destroy 3 Israeli Merkava tanks. They used their own rockets to attack the location that the Israeli military was based on, and then they had they detonated an explosive device there, so they booby-trapped this region for the Israelis. They were waiting for them, and then also the Hezbollah militia, they also attacked Israelis inside the border, inside Israel. They had some military barracks that the Israeli army was used that to gather their resources there in the Somera barracks, and then the Hezbollah fighters, they used Burkan rockets, and with a rocket salvo they managed to push the Israeli soldiers back from inside their borders, and this is south from Kiryat Shmona. So the Hezbollah fighters are fighting both inside their country. They're using rockets against Israeli fighters inside Lebanon, but also inside Israel. And the Israelis, they saw a huge loss in that instance, and many casualties. This is, extremely unprecedented. And if you think about it, and the Israeli forces, they had helicopters and even tanks that they used to, they used the firepower of the helicopters and the tanks to issue a full withdrawal, to be able to, to carry out the bodies and their wounded. And they have 20 ambulances. They did all this time, and on their side of the border, to carry the wounded in hospitals in Haifa and in Safad. And the hospitals, they called this a mass casualty event in the north. This was a huge blow. This was Wednesday. It was a huge blow by the Hezbollah elite, again, Radwan forces. It seems that man-to-man Hezbollah is stronger in their own land. They have been doing many preparations and military exercises all these decades to fight this war, so they're not lost. They're not out of the game, as the Israelis thought, with their targeted bombardments inside Lebanon and Beirut. Also, the Radwan fighters, they were fighting by shouting all the time, "We, according to your orders, Nasrallah," to honor their fallen leader. It seems that the Israelis are going to be pushing more in this front and they're transporting more troops to Lebanon, it's obvious that they have miscalculated. And to get an idea of how big the problem is, the Israelis are saying that the IDF are launching operations in the Israeli northern border. They didn't even frame it as inside Lebanon. They're saying the northern border. Nobody knows if it's inside Israel or inside Lebanon. It seems that they could not push through inside Lebanon, so they lost this momentum that they had after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah and the rest of the Hezbollah leadership. So the goal here for the Israelis for this attack obviously was to try and create a division between Hezbollah and Hamas. They wanted Hezbollah to stop its attacks. Obviously, Hezbollah started attacking Israel after the war between Hamas and Israel last year in solidarity with Hamas. So if the Israelis managed Hezbollah to sign a ceasefire, to issue a ceasefire, this would mean that they would basically let down their Hamas comrades, their fellow militiamen. So this would be a huge blow if they did manage to decouple these two wars. But it seems that this rift isn't happening. They also thought that they may alienate Hezbollah or Lebanon from Iran by having this attack and Iranians disregarding what's happening in Lebanon. This also didn't work out because we saw Iran attack the Israeli capital as well in some military installations. Obviously, there's a big threat for Israel here that this will backfire. As you can imagine, we saw this in 2006. When you invade in a country, obviously you lose the momentum. The defending forces have the advantage. Also, in asymmetric wars, we see that organizations, Hezbollah is not a country, it's not an official state army. It's the most powerful non-state actually army in the world. And we can see in this kind of asymmetric scenarios that weaker entities can simply win by enjoying strategic patience. And the Israelis cannot support this confrontation because of having heavy costs, political costs. Now they lost eight troops; they're going to be losing more. They cannot support this indefinitely. So by creating the necessary defensive measures and installations and fortifications, Hezbollah can drag the Israelis down. Also, Hezbollah is basically with its back on the wall. There's nothing they can do. They cannot issue for any ceasefire. They have to fight, because if they don't fight, they will be obliterated. They're with their back in the wall. There is nothing they can do but fight, even without their leaders. They cannot back down. What will this mean for Hezbollah? I mean, if they did stop fighting, that would mean a huge loss for its deterrence against Israel, but also its legitimacy inside Lebanon. Also, what Hezbollah wants to do, they seem to be having the momentum right now, which is again, this is a big win for Hezbollah after all these losses, after these targeted assassinations. Now it seems that they have the momentum, the initiative. They're trying to provoke Israel to fight them more inside Lebanon. They're provoking the Israelis for a full-fledged invasion, full-scale invasion, because this would mean that the Israelis would lose more troops. This would mean that the Israelis would be bogged down eventually. And also, this would neutralize the Israeli Air Force, because they will stop bombarding. If they have army troops inside Lebanon, the Air Force will be extremely limited to where they can bombard. So this would take out of the equation the Israeli Air Force. Hezbollah is basically powerless against the Israeli aircraft jets. But yes, by provoking them, they can drag them down, and also eradicate this advantage that the IDF Air Force provides to IDF military troops in the region. Obviously, they have the major advantage of know their own back of the woods. The challenging terrain of southern Lebanon is well known to Hezbollah. They're not only familiar, but they have a robust military and logistical infrastructure in the whole region. They have booby traps, they have ambush places, they have depots, they have ground tunnels. They're really, really prepared to that. And it's easy to think about it as this, guys. If Hezbollah, if Israel invades, and they haven't actually started this invasion, if they don't eradicate Hezbollah, they will have to leave eventually. But leaving the country at the same time Hezbollah stays intact means that the Israelis lost. This was the case in 2006, and that's why it was so popular, Hezbollah was so popular in Lebanon after that time, they will have to completely eradicate Hezbollah. Otherwise, they're just invading, trying to eradicate them, and then failing. And it's extremely difficult, maybe even impossible, to eradicate Hezbollah, which has strong links with the country. And they have taken a hit by, with what happened in the 2020 explosion in the Beirut harbor, with the assassination of the previous prime minister, with their participation in the fight, Hezbollah participation in the fight inside Syria. So they have been losing some legitimacy inside Lebanon. But after this, I think they will be more strengthened, more empowered, because it will seem that they're the champions not only of the Lebanese, but also of the Arabs, maybe even for the Muslim community. They will be the ones that they will survive this attack by Israel, and this will be a huge win for them. This will mean that they will start recruiting from all across the Islamic and Muslim world. They will be more empowered and strengthened by this invasion. So I think, in a sense, Israel has already lost by the and they took out Hassan Nasrallah. The next person may be even more brutal. So that's also something that could possibly backfire. So finally, the current strategy that Israel has is, that we will keep bombarding them and bombard them into submission. They have been bombarding inside Lebanon, in the southern parts of the country, but in other parts as well. This has to stop, simply because the U.S. is supplying them and supplying them with rockets and missiles, but they will have to end. They cannot fully support them. The factories, they're supporting the Ukrainian war, they're supporting this war. This will not be possible to keep indefinite. So yes, Netanyahu knows that, up until the elections, there's some time, but after that, there won't be any support coming. So the next president, maybe Harris, maybe Trump, they will tell the Israelis that, we cannot support you anymore. You have to wrap it up. So they have to do whatever they want to do right now. There's no time left after the election. So it seems that yes, we can actually safely say that right now the Radwan forces, the untested up to this point Radwan forces, they seem to have given Hezbollah the advantage and the initiative. This is a huge blow for Israel. Let's see what's gonna happen next. So this is it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Again, Hezbollah, its survival alone can be considered a success. The same goes for Hamas. This was what happened in 2006. Also, they will have the moral high ground, because even to this very day, Hezbollah is striking only military targets. Unfortunately, we're seeing the Israelis targeting civilian infrastructure inside Lebanon, neighborhoods that there are no Hezbollah members. We have almost 1 million people displaced inside Lebanon, which is a humanitarian catastrophe. So yes, Hezbollah has the moral high ground right now, even though this might sound unbelievable, but also they have the initiative in the field of battle.